Oh, oh, it's peak! We're continuing to read the Golden Age arc. Man, there's still a lot to cover. Thankfully, we don't have to go through too much trauma and dread this time around, but you know, I'm still shaken by the first 3 chapters of the Golden Age. So crossing my fingers that it doesn't get too dark too soon, because I'm loving where the story's going so far, but who knows? What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Calvary's Cave, and we are continuing our Berserk journey into the Golden Age. We are looking at the Nosferatu Zodd Arc? Don't even listen to me. The Nosferatu Zodd Arc, and we're moving all the way up until Assassin Chapter 2. I think that's a good place to end it. Now, before we begin, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a future upload. We're here to just enjoy ourselves and watch me take a piece of my life away just so I can give you guys some entertainment. Nah, I'm just joking. Nothing too terrible happens this time around. And real quick, if you haven't seen any of my other reviews, feel free to hit the link. I believe it's somewhere right there. If you want to see my earlier reviews for both the Black Swordsman arc and my first 2 parts for the Golden Age arc, take a look at those. We are covering spoilers in this video. Without further ado, let's get into it. So we're starting off with the Nosferatu Zodd chapters. We get a quick flashback of the conversation between Guts and Griffith about the Behelit, it being called the Egg of the King, and then we cut back to the battlefield and Griffith is like holding on to his little necklace. We see that the Band of the Hawk is currently struggling against one singular man. Judo is explaining that he's pretty confident that the person that they're going against is Nosferatu Zodd. And we're barely like 2 pages in, and my goat, Pippin! He opens his mouth for our next 2 words that we're probably gonna get for like the entire next book. I think that's 5 words in total that he's spoken, but it doesn't matter because he's so awesome. Pippin, being his awesome self, he looks at Judo and he's like, "Who's that?" So Rickert explains that essentially Nosferatu Zodd is somebody that's been killing people for many years, and he shows up like a ghost in several battlefields, but he knows that the tale of Nosferatu Zodd has been going on for over 100 years, and his name keeps popping up every now and again, leading everyone to believe that he is an immortal, and that's where he got the name Nosferatu from. Griffith is like unfazed by the story. He's still got his stone cold face, just looking awesome like usual. Mira really does know how to draw people aura farming, if there's like a good way to explain that, but Mira does a beautiful job for any character in facial expressions. They're very natural, they're very cool. I want to be somebody who's that brave on the battlefield, knowing that you're about to go against some type of immortal, stone-faced. It's such a cool thing. That's why I prefer anime and manga over other forms of media, because sometimes the actor isn't great at portraying somebody's feelings, but when it comes to a manga artist or an anime artist, it's so exaggerated and it just makes everyone look so much cooler. So we cut over to Guts and we can see that Griffith is furious and he wants to storm in and find this Nosferatu Zodd character. I don't know at this time if he does know that it's Nosferatu Zodd, but all he knows is that he sent an entire squad in, and it's been 30 minutes and nobody has come back out, leading them to believe that everyone has died. And one of Guts's team members comes out all bloodied up. You can see that he's torn apart and he's struggling to say Guts's name, and this infuriates Guts, and he wants to jump in and take one for the team and get down to business with whoever destroyed his entire crew, essentially. Now the team is telling him that he needs to get back up, but he's not really having it, because you know what, that's going to be a total embarrassment if he goes back, lets everyone know that he was an utter failure in this mission. He wants to go in by himself just so he can have something to show for the mission. So as usual, Guts takes it upon himself to go in alone, and immediately upon entering, he sees a mountain of bodies, and it is a horrific scene that Mira drew. I just want to take a pause and say that Mira truly does know how to draw the concept of dread, actual terrified fear manifesting out of these corpses built up by Nosferatu Zodd, and it really gives you an understanding of like the terror that these soldiers felt at the hands of Zodd. It's something that they've never seen before. Typically they like to go into battle with lesser armies and they're able to dominate completely, but they saw something so terrifying in there that before they died, it left them with these faces, and Miura does a great job of capturing the essence of what they were feeling in their final moments. I'm giving my stars to him. Rest in peace, Miura. He was very good at this. So after After seeing the dead bodies, Guts encounters Nosferatu Zodd immediately. We thought Donovan was a big boy. Zodd is huge. And this is the first time that Guts has encountered something of this caliber. He has no idea how to react. We saw in the previous review that I did that Guts was like stopped in his tracks by Griffith, and that had its own like significance, but this is something that was like, you know what? I have not seen this before. Like, he was able to make light work of Bezuso. He said nothing about that, but we get to Nosferatu Zodd, and you can see that Zodd just being there is striking fear into Guts. And I think this is the first like true terror that we've seen on Guts' face up until now, and it's very clear that Guts is outmatched. But even though Guts is outmatched, Zodd is fairly impressed by what he was able to do. Can't believe you parried one of my strikes. Guts can clearly see that he's losing. He decides to switch stances from defense over to offense, and Zodd is impressed by this too, because he's about to go on the offense, and if he misses just one little hair, that it means certain death. And Zodd pays his respects, as he should, because it's my goat! Oh, it's my goat Guts we're talking about! And to nobody's surprise, Guts actually does land a blow, and Zodd is even further impressed by this. He was like, nobody's landed a blow on me in like the last 50 years. And so to reward Guts on his bravery, he decides to show him his true power. Gets like twice as big, a bunch of hair starts growing out of him, he gets these giant horns, and it's at this point that you can realize that Zodd is in it for the love of the game. Once Guts realized that Zodd has essentially been playing with his food this entire time, Guts actually has this look of fear in his face, like, what did I just step into? Like, he was able to create a mountain of bodies as he was, and I was struggling with him up until now, but you're telling me he was just playing around this entire time? So Guts knows that he's cooked for sure, and we don't exactly know how old Zodd is, but they give us a hint that he's at least been doing this for the last 300 years, which predates all of the tales since people have only been talking about him for like the last century. So Zodd steps in, he gives like, gives a slick backhand to Guts, one taps him, Guts is out of the fight. Zodd walks over, picks Guts up by like one of his shoulders and sticks his talons into him, or his claws, whatever you want to call him. Quite literally, Guts is about to get torn apart in this scene. Right before Zodd is about to finish the job on Guts, an entire horde of crossbow bolts gently hug Zodd in the back. Who could this be? It's Griffith! Where's Pippin? Nah, never mind. Pippin is here. Don't worry, guys. He's here. But what I think is very important to note is that Pippin has got this stone cold blank stare, and directly behind him, it's Griffith, and he is horrified at what he's seeing. It just means that Pippin's the goat. Anyways, Zodd isn't too happy about the Band of the Hawks ruining his fight with Guts. He was actually very excited because nobody's given him a good fight up until now for like the last 50 years. He's probably felt lonely, just destroying everybody. Kind of like Saitama. He's tired of beating everyone in one punch. He wants one good fight, and he wants to cherish that one fight, and of course the Band of the Hawks come in to ruin that one-on-one fight, and he's freaking out. He starts slapping around the Band of the Hawks. It strikes fear into Griffith. I think this is the first time that we see Griffith actually afraid. So while everyone is dying, Griffith tells Casca to like grab everyone, quickly retreat, and while he tries to go and save Guts, but Casca retaliates because she is still jealous and she doesn't want Griffith going in there for the sake of Guts. She's like, no, leave him, there's my chance. So Griffith runs in anyways. He goes to try to save Guts, puts him around his shoulder, and it's too late. They are cooked. Zodd is standing in his tracks like, what do you think you're doing? That's my food. So Griffith and Guts pull some like next level Loki and Thor switcheroo combos. Griffith takes it upon himself to do a quick flash step and gently removes Zodd's arm. Zodd is fairly unimpressed by the kind gesture, so he uses his tail and one taps Griffith, sends him flying across the room. Griffith is out of the fight, and it is at this exact moment that Griffith starts to realize that he's not the main character. So Zodd finally takes this opportunity. He picks up his arm like it's a slab of ham, and he like whips Guts with it, sends Guts flying across the room, and now Guts and Griffith are both down for the count. At this moment, Casca is like projecting her feelings for Griffith a little too much in this moment, but Judo shuts that down, lets her know that it's no use. Jokes aside, Nosferatu Zodd is totally about to kill Griffith in this moment, and it's at this time that Zodd notices his necklace, the egg of the king, the crimson behelit of the god hand, and Zodd says something a little bit weird. I might be reading into it a little bit too much, but he says, so it's that kind of ploy. Zodd proceeds to like force a hole through the ceiling with one of his fists and tells Guts that he's placing a hold on the fight for now. But before he leaves, he gifts Guts a prophecy, and he says, take heed, when his ambition collapses, death will pay you a visit, a death that you can never escape. Out of nowhere, Zodd grows these giant wings, and we get this sick double-page spread. It's full of detail, full of shadows. I forgot to mention that Nosferatu Zodd, whenever he makes his transformation, he's like completely black, but you can kind of see like the fur coming off of him. And I just love this sick shot where he grows wings and he's giving Guts his prophecy. Oh, it's so beautiful. So he flies away, and Casca takes it upon herself to like blame Guts for everything that happened today. This would have never happened to Griffith if you had just stuck to the plan, didn't try to be a hero. But let's be honest, guys. If you were in Guts' position, you'd probably be doing the same thing too. He was completely valid in going in there. He waited like 30 minutes. He gave everyone else an opportunity to go in there and show what they're made of, and they died. Respectfully, he was kind of justified. And that is how we end the Nosferatu Zodd arc. And now we are moving over to Wyndham, however you say it, castle. And we start this little mini arc called the Master of Swords. But right before we get to that, in the beginning of the Masters of Swords, it looks like Miura took it upon himself to give us another double-page spread where he redrew that scene with Nosferatu Zodd growing the wings, and oh, it's so sick. He's really good. And again, once we cut to Wyndham Castle, I'm just gonna call it Wyndham Castle. If you've got a problem with it, terribly sorry. We get this really, really nice drawing of the castle area or the city and its citizens. I want to take a second to give credit where credit is due. Miura also knows how to draw architecture, because you take a look at every little minor detail in each one of these buildings, every single brick on every single building. Man, he's good. He's good. So we cut to some commenters who are like talking behind the Band of the Hawk's back, saying like, oh, Nosferatu Zodd was just a cover-up job. They were complete failures on their mission and they're just trying to hide it. They do make mention that Griffith is still alive, like the captain's still alive, even though he's gravely injured, and they did reclaim the castle, so they kind of won anyways. So we can talk about technicalities all we want, but at the end of the day, Griffith did succeed, which will give them some merit going forward. As we're walking down the hall, they do bump into Guts, and they're brazen enough to try to joke around with Guts about the failure of a mission. Guts isn't having it, and he's on crutches, and he still makes light work of these two, and they're embarrassed by, you know, Guts humiliating them, so they pull out a sword. Guts whips out his Conqueror's hockey, and they're freaked out. They stay down. So as Guts continues, he walks into a courtyard, and we see Judo, Casca, and Pippin! And even if these two don't really like each other, they're both still giving each other some up-downs. But the tension between them is still too high, so they don't talk to each other. But we know. Judo can clearly see that there's tension between them, so Judo takes it upon himself to explain that, hey, don't worry about what Casca said. She only said that in the heat of the moment. But Guts doesn't care. He quickly responds with his silence. Anyways, and this is where we get the introduction to politics in the story. So we see that some bishops, some officials, some dignitaries, they're paying Griffith a visit while he's bedridden at the moment. And if you haven't guessed it by now, this is probably where the story is going to be heading for the next good chunk. So Guts tries to butt in on the conversation, pay Griffith a visit. Anyways, Guts tries to butt in on the conversation. Casca tries to yell at him, tell him to stop. Guts ignores. He tries to fight the guards, yada yada. Guts continues to disrespect the guards by taking them both down with his crutches. And Guts plays it off, and he asks the rest of the crew if they want to join him to talk to Guts. Casca isn't having it though, so she reaches over his shoulder. Guts doesn't know that it's her at first. He thinks that it's the guards. She grabs Guts by the shoulder and like winds it up and like, bah! Punches Guts right in the face. Quick little sucker punch. And for a moment there, it kind of looks like Guts kind of liked it, but he remembers that it's Casca, so he has to be mean to her. So he thinks really quickly and like, what should I do in this moment? What should I do? What should I do? And so he yells at her. And then he realizes that, you know, that's probably not the right play, because Casca immediately starts crying. And Guts in this moment, he's trying to act tough. We can see his thoughts, you know, we can read his thoughts, and he's letting us know that Casca actually like rocked him with that punch. And you can tell that Guts kind of liked it, because he starts like biting his finger. But nonetheless, Guts takes the hint and he leaves. And Rickard, he takes the moment to recognize that at the very least, Griffith has been hard to approach recently. So we cut to Guts training some more. He's using Casca's words as like fuel for him to swing his sword. I guess that's a way to motivate yourself, but you know, you do you. And this is the moment where it looks like Griffith is done with his meeting. He meets up with Guts in the courtyard while he's training, and he commends Guts. He was like, dude, you're kind of recovering quick. Like, I can barely get out of bed and you're already swinging that giant hunk of a sword around. We get this neat little scene where Griffith and Guts are like reminiscing on the battle with Zodd, and they're asking themselves, like, is there a higher power in this world? I'm assuming this is the first time that Griffith saw this. I could be entirely wrong. I still don't know the history behind that Behelit, if he knows what it actually is, or if he's just feigning ignorance in this moment. He's asking himself, is there a higher power in this world? And this might be the start of the decline with Griffith. And I'm going to mention this right now because they're going to mention it a lot more moving forward, but Guts asks Griffith, like, why does he save him? Why does he put his life on the line? Why does he stick his neck out for him? And Griffith explains that, do I need a reason? I just see something that I want to do and I do it. And that kind of further strengthens who I believe Griffith's character is. He's mainly somebody who has very childish thoughts. He will rush in to do anything so long as he believes that it's true to himself and he has conviction in everything that he does. So he doesn't really necessarily have a reason for saving Guts, but he just knows that in that moment it's right. And if I'm not mistaken, that's probably what's gonna play a part in Griffith's future moving forward, but I don't have any proof yet. And it's at this moment that the king enters stage left and he decides to ruin the bromance that's going on between Guts and Griffith. But it's okay, guys, don't worry about it, he seems chill. And apparently Griffith and Guts are both supposed to kneel even though they're both like gravely injured, and we get introduced to somebody who can't read the room, Julius. Griffith ain't gonna forget that. But for the sake of the story, I guess I'll let you know who Julius is. So we find out that Count Julius is the general of the White Dragons, and he's second in succession to the throne of Midland. Oops. Would you look at that? Looks like Griffith knows who he needs to target. The king takes a moment to glaze on Griffith's success, and out of nowhere, Charlotte, Princess of Midland, and daughter of the king, makes her grand entrance. Quick side note, I love the attention to detail on her wardrobe. It's pretty crispy. So for us, the readers, it is very clear that she has a huge crush on Griffith, but she's very good at keeping it a secret. So Princess Leia slips and she falls and Griffith saves her, and he's immediately rewarded with a backhand to the face by Count Julius. And we get another creepy smile from Griffith. Oh man, I really like his character, guys. I don't know what to tell you, but I love these creepy smiles that we get from Griffith. And Julius is taken aback by it. He's like, you do realize I just backhanded you, right? Griffith, in this moment, he apologizes. He's got this sick grin on his face. He's got a little blood coming out of his mouth. And even though he's smiling, Griffith is undoubtedly gritting his teeth in this moment. Griffith calmly apologizes, but it's very clear that Count Julius is creeped out by that little smile he just saw. And he's gonna remember that smile for quite a minute. So the two parties part ways, but not before Princess Leia conceals her crush on Griffith yet again. Real quick, I just want to mention, we get like this half of a page, full giant panel, and it shows Count Julius's drip. Goofy ass suit. I'm probably gonna show a photo of it right here. Look at that goofy ass suit. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is how they like used to dress, but like, I like that they've made this villain somebody you cannot take seriously. So now the story is kind of following Julius in this moment, and he walks right past some like maid servants, and they are clearly thirsting over Griffith in this moment. Quite literally, one of them is like going like full cross-eyed, simping on him. And the realization dawns on Julius. Bro's spot as heir presumptive is fading away fast. We get introduced to a very, very important character, Minister Foss. I don't really personally like him as a character, but I can't deny that he's going to be very important moving forward for the next like 10 chapters. So Foss explains to Julius that the Band of the Hawks are going to be taking over security at the upcoming Autumn Festival, and you can clearly see that Julius is freaked out by this. He's like, his entire reality is spinning. He's going into this spiral of insanity. He was like, you know what, I cannot accept what is going on here. And this is where we start to learn that Minister Foss is a bit of a master instigator. So after Julius is sufficiently jealous, this bald schemer comes out and offers him an ultimatum, but not before following his lawyer's advice as to not incriminate himself with anything that he says. And what's really funny is that he also has this crazy tell. So anytime he says like any type of manipulative line, he like looks up real quick. Like he always has his eyes shut, but once he says something like wild, he'll like double check that you're looking. It's kind of funny. And I think that's his entire character. Like, once you're sufficiently emotionally primed, he'll like go in for the kill, but you know, he also says it in such a way as to make sure that he doesn't incriminate himself. He essentially does something along the lines of, I heard the Band of the Hawks are taking over your job at the festival. Looks like the White Dragons aren't what they used to be. I think Griffith might be a general like you one day. Bro waits like until you're fuming before he like goes in for the kill, but he reveals his big scheme, and he wants Julius to kill Griffith in the upcoming autumn festival with a poison arrow, or you know, something of that nature, but make sure that it's a stray arrow so it's an accident. So we cut to Guts, who's thinking about his talk that he had with Griffith the other day. He believes in this moment that he has found his answer. If Griffith is willing to give up his life for Guts, so too will he for Griffith for now. So we cut to the Autumn Hunt Festival, and we can see that the Band of the Hawks did take over for security. We cut over to Julius, and he is mad pissed about them taking over, because the White Dragons used to take care of this for like the last forever, and as soon as the Band of the Hawks come in, they immediately take his position. And I want to take a moment to say how much Julius reminds me of like the first villain in Cowboy Bebop, like the first dude who's like squirting that bloody eye or the red eye into his eyes and like goes crazy. It's like got these giant bulging eyes. The way that Julius looks, he really does remind me of this character, and I think I'll put like a comparison right here so you can see what I'm talking about. You get what I mean. And in this festival, Guts is the only one fooling around, but the rest of the Band of the Hawks, they're on their best behavior because of what Casca said the other day. You got to make sure you're on your best behavior because we can make Griffith look bad now. But Casca can't help herself in this moment, and she is eyeing up Guts hard. Once she's done looking at Guts, she then turns to look at Griffith, and Griffith has risen up Charlotte. I cannot even describe the face that Casca's making. I don't even know what kind of face that is, so I'll just show it to you. I'll leave a little space here for you, but you tell me what you think this face is, because I've got no idea. So out of nowhere, a wild hog interrupts, and it creates an opportunity for the schemers to land that bullet on Griffith. Or it's not a bullet, land that poisoned arrow on Griffith, and they actually make contact. It goes right through his armor. So Griffith gets shot, he dead. Oh wait, no he not. Looks like the Behelit shielded him. And one of them makes the point that like, it's a good luck charm, and one of them says that it's the devil's luck, but Guts is like thinking in his own mind, he was like, this isn't ordinary luck. That something about that thing is weird. Anyways, Casca tries to seize the opportunity to like get closer to Griffith, but Griffith is not interested in Casca right now. He is scoping the scene, trying to figure out who did this, and he locks eyes with Julius, who's like, whew. Julius has no concept of how to play it off. He's looking incredibly sus, and in this moment, we get another sick Griffith smile, and in this one is more of an evil smile. You can definitely tell the intention behind this smile. So we cut to Julius later on that night in the castle, and he is super mad because it looks like that after Griffith was shot, the people love him more now because he risked his life for the princess and he came out unscathed. He's also kind of freaking out at that smile that Griffith made, as well as them locking eyes at the festival. We can see that in this moment he's super paranoid. So later on that night, Guts is invited up to Griffith's cabin. We can see that business as usual. Who cares that I almost got assassinated today? We're chilling over here. I'm reading books. I still have to study. But we get another unusual interaction with them because they've got this like close, very close bond with each other. Griffith is reading this like spicy graphic novel from like a land far away, and he was just like, hey Guts, you want to take a look at this? Guts isn't really having it. He's asking him, hey, why did you ask me here? And Griffith essentially lets Guts know that he needs Guts to take somebody out for him. And that's it. That's all we get for right now. I know there was like, I didn't get to cover as much as I wanted to this time around because each of these newer chapters, they're very information dense. Like I was able to get through some of the earlier chapters because there was a lot of fight scenes. I could, scoop right through them. I don't have to like pay attention to each like punch that Guts lands. But in this one, there was a lot more politics. We get introduced to a ton of new characters, each one with their own unique personalities and dynamics that I had to cover all of it, and I wasn't able to cover nearly as much as I did in my last video, but that's okay because I believe in the next video we're going to be finishing up with volume 2 and moving on to volume 3, which I have not finished volume 3. I specifically have stopped reading the manga just so I can read it fresh for you guys, and I give you guys my best genuine reactions moving forward. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If there's something that I missed, feel free to leave a comment down below, kind of tell me some themes or key character moments that I may not have paid close enough attention to, just to give me a better idea of like what's going on in the story. I'd love to hear your thoughts, or if this is your first time reading along with me, let me know how you thought about this arc or how you felt about these chapters. And before you go, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a future upload. I'm trying my best to give you a video every Tuesday and Friday, and if I do miss a deadline, I'll be sure to let you guys know. But for the meantime, I'm thinking Tuesday and Friday is a good day for y'all. But yeah, that's it. So y'all stay beautiful, and I will see you in the next video.
Yeah, but that's about it. See ya.
You still here?